Hi, my name is Chris Kovich, and to start off my biodiversity project, I want to first explain where my location is, my location island, and it is right off the coast of South Australia, in between the Promontory National Park and Tasmania. It's right there in the Bay Strait, kind of right by King Island, and it's 75 miles off the coast of the national park, and I'm going to name it Youth Island. Now, in terms of genetic diversity, there is a lot coming from different places. In King Island, there is a great deal of different bird species. However, the mammals are more limited, just being that they're both islands and mammals can't travel as efficiently as birds can. So the same could be applied to Youth Island. There are a lot of bird species, especially coming from King Island and Tasmania, but then there are limited mammals just because of the location. A good example of lack of genetic diversity from humans would be the Violcinus, or the Tasmanian tiger, which went extinct in 1936, sadly. Now, just to list off some species that may be in this Youth Island would be the orange-bellied parrot, the brown thornbill, and the Tasmanian thornbill, the wedge-tailed eagle, and finally the little penguin, which would most likely live on the coast of the island and travel throughout the various islands along the Bay Strait. So they may live there, but they also may travel to different places. Now, some mammals that are pretty common in Tasmania, which are the common wombat, which is a fluffy type creature, the platypus, which has that sort of racket type of tail, and is a semi-aquatic animal, and it travels through creeks and also walks on land. And then a very well-known type of animal would be the red-necked wallaby, which is a type of kangaroo. They mostly live in grasslands, and they are usually associated with being in Australia in general. Okay, so now I'm going to list off 3 water mammals. This includes a dolphin, a whale, and a southern elephant seal. To start off, the dolphins would obviously surround the islands, as would whales, and seals would be usually on the rocks or on sand. My point is that these mammals could surround this island. They could surround some other islands within the Bay Strait. It's just based on where they want to move around, like the penguins. And it's not just limited to these species. There's obviously a lot more shrimp and other types of species that will live in the Bay Strait, but these are just a few examples. And then moving on to plant species, I'm going to list off 3 species. One would be the hue pine, which is a type of conifer, which can be found in Tasmania, so it's only fitting that this island would have this type of plant species as well. And then after that, there is a deciduous beech. It is native to Europe, Asia, and North America, but also is in Tasmania. It's a pretty common tree to see. What I found is that it changes to an orange color, and so you may have seen it around just without knowing it. This would make sense for it to be on the island as long as the habitat suits it, like Tasmania does. And then finally, sclerophyll is a type of vegetation that will mostly cover the islands, which once again is found in Tasmania. Now, in terms of habitats, they are pretty diverse to make certain species live there. So beyond the examples I just gave, this means there could be plant species which include flowering plants, conifers, mosses, shrubs, alpine, and a lot more. But this island would also have temperate rainforests or woodlands and grasslands. And then for water animals, the Bay Strait is used. Moreover, the island would also have some higher elevation areas. However, they are not going to be as high as Tasmania spots. And then another point to add is that there would be small creeks throughout, for the animals such as the platypus, which I mentioned earlier. Then ecosystem services. The first one would be forestry, which is the practice of caring and managing for the forest. This would happen on Youth Island, and forestry is usually made for just collecting wood and using it for wood making and paper and so much more. And then the second one would be grazing. This is where beef cattle / sheep would use those grasslands for pasturage. And then finally, water catchment would be when people are storing rainwater and converting it into water for human needs. So moving on to island biogeography. So biogeography provides reasons for when and why a species has evolved to an environment. So such factors include the weather or amount of food that is available. It explains why certain species live in parts in the world that they do. In the case of Youth Island, it is similar to the surrounding islands. For example, the common wombat lives in wet, forested areas. There are many species of wombats. However, the common wombat has significantly more hair than others as it needs to live in cold and wet conditions. Another example would be of the platypus, which has a body and tail covered with dense waterproof fur for thermal insulation. It has strong claws for moving on land, but also has a body made for swimming. Then the final example is of the red-necked wallaby. They are accustomed to dry areas that would work well with grasslands on Youth Island. When it is warm and dry in the summer, the wallabies retain water by reabsorbing urea in the kidneys. When it comes to ecosystem disruptions, there are quite a few. So one disruption would be fires to alpine vegetation on the island. Shrubs are also extremely flammable, but a fire could be caused from lightning or human activities. And then another type of disruption is the trampling of alpine from recreational users. However, there is also a species of Pletophothora which can survive in the cold. It is a pathogen that can be harmful to alpine plants. Along with that, exotic plants are threatening as well. Moving on, global warming is also a problematic issue when it comes to colder climates. Certain species would not be able to survive at warmer temperatures as they are made for colder ones. They could adapt over many years though. Finally, certain predators could have a significant impact on the island as they may cause an imbalance for consumption rates. If there are too many predators, there will be less prey. The last point I would like to touch on would be succession. So the disturbance that would likely wipe out the entire island species would be wildfires. This could spread along the entire island very quickly, killing plants and animal habitats. This would result the island to restart building itself through secondary succession. As wildfires happened recently throughout Australia, many studies were done. It was concluded that with these sclerophyll communities burning, regrowth was followed within the first 2 years. In the case of Youth Island, it would be very similar. Seeds in the soil would slowly start to build plants up again. Alpine plants and grasses may begin to grow along with shrubs. These would be considered as the pioneer species. Soon following, the intermediate species would come and include plants such as the Huon pine. The island would then grow much larger trees such as the Brooker's gum. The process would take roughly 150 years to completely revert back to normal. Near the climax community, bird species may start to show up again. And so to conclude my thoughts, I have to say that Youth Island may be similar to some of the other islands near King Island or Tasmania, but I would have to say that it would be a warm welcome and would fit well based on all the information I have provided. So thank you, Mr. Bader, for watching, and I'll see you in class. See ya.